So we talked about, you mentioned partisan, and so did I.
The elephant in the room.
Yeah, and the donkey, right?
Yeah.
So I had no idea what your political party was when I met you. I just knew that you were someone who cared about your community, and you started talking about
I didn't know
birds
what you
and
were
wildlife.
either.
Yeah, same. But we connected on that basis. And I think that's the challenge for some people is they're like, how is that possible? How can, if Wes is a Republican and, Nancy's a Democrat or independent, I don't know what you are now, but, Nancy's a different political party, how can they agree on anything? Because they see the entire world as partisan.
Just through that.
Right? And there's a lot that is partisan. So I put together, you're going to love this, I put together this little thing of partisan things. There are plenty of partisan things, right? Especially in 2024. Political parties, right? Presidential candidates, we're going to have to vote on that. Political rallies. You and I could argue about, I'm sure, a whole bunch of issues like, affirmative action or abortion or, all kinds of other things, right? We could talk about foreign aid to Ukraine or this, that, and the other, or who do you think is the best congressperson, whatever. We could argue about those things because those tend to be partisan, right? And I think that's where people think, well, Preserve Navarre, too, is partisan. And a lot of these folks that when I've talked to them, it's almost like everything as far as like you can't shut up. That's how I get someone on Christmas who's arguing with me, right? And it's just like he wants to talk about like Republicans and Democrats on Christmas, and I'm like, it's Jesus'
day. Do you ask people what party they are or what their political beliefs are when you're in church?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was this. You're gonna love this because I think about things where it's nonpartisan, right? And that's where we've gotten to is if you take a step back, you think about. Most of my life is like that. So I have partisan things. We'll talk politics and things like that from time to time. But then there's a huge part of life that everybody participates in to some degree that is nonpartisan. So I went with C's for whatever reason, but charities, right? There's a lot of charities. You mentioned several that you're a part of.
The Navarre Garden Club.
There might be a Republican in there, Nancy. Sorry.
I know. Well, we don't ask.
Probably a few.
The Elks, the American Legion, the VFW, your churches,
you
the grocery
churches,
stores.
Yep. Churches is just another one. Is they allow Democrats as churches? I'm told.
They do. Yeah.
Christmas. I already talked about Christmas is one. I mean, your grocery store, right? Like, you don't know. You don't know who's all
who
like.
Ask.
Right.
I never got the questions or the ridicule or the negativity before the last few years.
There's other nonprofits, the Chamber of Commerce, right?
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce is nonprofit.
They've
got a mix. Yeah, I couldn't tell you everybody's political party, and I've been to a ton of their events.
Yeah.
A big one I put on here is the military. The military is nonpartisan.
Exactly.
That for me is where I had the most experience in like a nonpartisan environment. Is I saw people of different political parties, and occasionally they'd tell me what they believed. I'm a libertarian this, I'm a Democrat that. We talk about that or so occasionally, but I would see these people of different parties contributing to the mission of protecting America, and I was like, okay, I may not agree with you on this, that, and the other, but we can defend the country together. Something as important as that, we can do it, right? And that's where I got to the point of, okay, I can be very partisan, I can share my beliefs on a whole list of issues, but I can also put a board on that and hold it back for a minute to work with people who may believe differently for a good cause, right?
And ultimately, one of my main beliefs is that discrimination itself is just plain wrong.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're purple with pink polka dots or you came from Spain or if you've been here 1 week. I don't care. You're a person, and I will treat you like I would like to be treated.
And so for me, I totally agree. And for me, that's where Preserve Navarre, when we were setting this up with the board, with Chuck and Mike and Jersey and all these people, that was the vision, is the deciding factor is, do you love Navarre?
Right.
Because it's going to be resident focus. Going back to our first core value, do you love Navarre? Right. Okay? Yeah. Is you call this home? Do you believe in this place? That is the fundamental principle.
Exactly.
We'll talk about partisan stuff. We might vote differently, once election time comes, especially in a partisan one. But getting back to the active incorporation of building a city, do you believe in Navarre? And I think back again to the Constitution and how people came from all kinds of different areas to say, we need an American government that represents all of us. It's the same thing with Navarre. Guarantee you're going to have a partisan election, and then I'll be running against you, Nancy, or somebody else will. Not me, but I'll be voting for someone different than you. But the actual act of setting that election system up needs to be a bipartisan act.
Yes.
And so that's where I get the James Calkins and the other people who say, well, I only want Republicans in your club. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it because it's a nonprofit. And even legally, I can't do it.
Well, the Constitution says that everyone is equal.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
That is in law in the form of the nonprofit that we built. Is you legally, churches can't discriminate on political party. They can't say, oh, you're a Republican, you can't come, or you're a Democrat, you can't come.
Yeah.
There's legal protection there, and so even if I wanted to do it, I can't. So when I get these comments saying it's a liberal agenda or it's a bunch of Democrats, first of all, I couldn't kick Republicans out. I'd have to kick myself out first. But like, I couldn't kick Republicans out. I also can't sit there and say, oh, tell me your political party before you join. I legally can't do that. So going back to that comment of someone saying, oh, it's a liberal agenda and it's got to be a bunch of Democrats, it's illegal for me to discriminate on political party, first of all, one way or the other.
Right.
And then secondly, that's not what the group is about. It's not
Exactly.
about pushing some type of agenda that is
Any
rooted in
political
partisanship. It is pushing an agenda that is rooted in self-government, right?
Yes,
Which is bipartisan.
exactly.